Hi, this is Sandy with SCS Digital and the Accord Sequarallel, firmware version 3. For version 3.0, we have decided to do away with the automation feature as it was made rather redundant by the more robust layer loop sequencer edition of version 1.0. Most people, including myself, use layers for automation, and version 3.0 has a nice addition to layers that facilitates using them for automations. That will be covered later in this video. Let's start with the new addition to TRAX Lane Soloing. I'll solo this TRAX to get rid of the others so we can hear. Right away you can see there's something new happening. The highlighted lanes are soloing over the ones that aren't highlighted. The lane solo can be found in any NoteFX settings. It's the last in the randomize section. The range is a bit different from the rest. The settings 1 through 7 are for probability of the solo happening, 7 being 100%. But 8 will take over any other lane soloing at the time, rather than participate with other soloing lanes. It is of course 100% probability as well. Set to 8, each occurrence will take over as the prime solo lane, like this. All notes are using the same NoteFX, so the NoteFX number doesn't matter, just which lane it's in. When other lanes are not being soloed, NoteFX from those notes are still effective, so can still invoke a solo themselves, which makes it interesting. So setting the range to 7 or less will allow multiple lanes to solo at once, like this. The NoteFX mask and note probability also have an effect, so sequences can be very expanded. Some sections playing while others not. Hit play to get it scrolling. The highlighted lanes only show when TRAX is in scroll mode, after, as of this version, 15 seconds, or a play start, or a reset. It's set to a solo probability of 1, so pretty scant. Setting to 7 will ensure every lane gets played, but on the first step, the lane solo will be reset, thus the others that are not in step 1 will be re-triggered as they play. So still at 100%, setting 8 will take over all the other lanes soloing, thus only one can play at a time. If there were other notes in this sequence, they would play until a NoteFX 1 in a different lane mutes them. That will be more obvious in TRAX 2. Here, there's more than one NoteFX, some with higher probability. The effect can be masked with the mask sequencer, as with other NoteFX. Let's take down the probability of this note in lane 1 even playing. Notice that the solo only gets reset if the first step is not masked. Down the rabbit hole we go. So to keep the video short, I'll show you tracks 3. Lanes 1 and 2 have NoteFX soloing going on, at notes on step 5. But the only way lane 3 can play is if lane 1 and lane 2 are not soloed. Lane 4 has a soloed microart burst with low note probability, so it can get through when all the planets align. That's on NoteFX too. Reducing NoteFX 1's solo probability should allow it to get through one more. Probability is too low. That's better. So you can see how the probabilities multiply, hey? So that's the new TRAX Lane Soloing feature. The next addition is, well, really cool. A way to look at automations that aren't coming out of a jack has not been possible until now, with the View Song Quick Box. It has its own quick boxes and a view screen to see the goodies. Any CC from the chosen source will be viewed in real time, per channel, or all at once, like this. CC's pitch bend or aftertouch changes can be viewed from only one channel, as being selected, which makes it easy to find the source. These are all on channel 3. Screen button opens to full view and exit will return to the main screen. Holding the encoder does the same thing, as usual. The vertical bars are, well, bars on every 4 beats. So say you want to see a specific CC, pitch bends, or aftertouches on all channels. There's a CC74, which is a cut filter generally. There's 2 CC71s for resonance of said filter. So by default, all channels and all CCs are displayed. Or just a certain CC number, like 7 or 74, or just pitch bends, or all CCs on a specified channel. Now we can find out which channels they're on. Channel 4 has this one, which was recorded from a RITEM's touch velocity output. The other one has stopped playing. Dialing past CC127 is pitch bend and aftertouch. Here's the pitch bend waveform warbling the synth. I wouldn't recommend doing it this way as it uses tons of MIDI bandwidth. which I'll show you in a bit. And there's an aftertouch curve. And bits falling. This viewer can also see MIDI notes on a single channel or all channels. To see the full range, you have to scroll up or down, but most of the notes are around the center. The source can also be selected. These are presently input on CC5 and 6 from a dual LFO. As all these were recorded from very dynamic sources, the MIDI serial pipeline can get easily overloaded. This is about 145 BPM to start. Increasing the clock will shrink the steps in the display accordingly, but also forces more through the MIDI line until the timing is compromised. If you wish to have many CCs running at once, it's possible. There are 14 here, but recorded at full resolution from a Melisma and CV inputs. Making the automation more steppy is one method that can be used if recording from a DAW or an internal envelope output here. This could also be done by recording the automation if from a CV input at a fast clock rate, and then once slowed down to normal speed will be much less dense, right? Another is limit to how much movement happens over a time period, not like the pitch bend I showed running at max MIDI capture rate. And yet another, keep them short, removing what won't be used. And finally, make sure they don't all happen at once, again, like shown in this example. This is if you want a lot of controls at once. If it's only a few, then go to town. The third feature addition for version 3.0 can work hand in hand with View Song. As shown, View Song lets us peek into various automations and notes, even from the CV mode ARP, then locate their type and channel. But with layers as source, these can change with the different loops being enabled or disabled, as can be seen here. An easier way is to go into the layer loop sequencer. When in the layer loop sequencer, pausing under any layer letter in the grid will dig up whatever controller data is being sent. This includes CCs, pitch bend, and channel aftertouch. This feature somewhat bridges the gap between the old AUTOREC QuickBox and layers, justifying its deprecation. Up to 3 parameters per layer letter can be shown, and auto-locates around the cursor depending on how many are found. The channel is also indicated here. It's an addition without any new menus or even looking at the user guide. It's pretty self-evident, as it's automatic. Just after the start of a layer, the following section of over 100 chunks is scanned for any CCs, pitch bends, or channel aftertouch. The very beginning is ignored, as if recorded from a DAW. The first 3 found will likely be start parameters like volume, pan, and pedal. If there are no controllers in the layer recording, then nothing will show up at all. So this stream is on channel 9, which is CC7, or volume. This is live input from the LFOs, altering the pans of channel 8 and 9. Via CV or MIDI, input can be viewed live before recording, so that's cool. I've already found this useful with old projects and trying to find which channel is sending what for setting up a synth. Then having a look at the resulting waveform in the new viewer is kind of cool. So that's it. I hope you enjoy version 3.0. Thanks for watching.